Hello and welcome to the classroom, you beautiful chatterboxes, child. I hope you got your notebooks ready. I hope your pencils is sharpened, your pens is full of ink, okay? Because we is going to be spilling tea and we not going to be repeating it. So the notes are going to have to be good. I don't know what Bravo has going on. I don't know why Bravo acts like they can't see us, whether it pertains to the shows that have cast of color or whether it pertains to content creators. So as we all know, Bravo decided to pause Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, the only Summer House that has an all black cast. This is not the first time that they've done stuff like this. And Bravo has yet to say a word. Andy has yet to say a word. So your friend Andy, he was on the Twitter the other day, or today rather, and I said, well, Andy, since the phone is in your hand, very Summer Walker, I know you buy your phone, so boy, pick up your line. Yeah. Since you got time, I wanted to know if you had anything to say to the Black and Brown Bravo viewers that feel like Bravo just uses Black audiences to gain popularity. We've seen it done so many times over. And here to have that conversation with me, here to usher in the Black Bravo reckoning, if you will, I have my very first podcast host. You know him, you love him from 3+1 Media. The Zactivist is here. You know this next panel guest from, I don't know, Kempire Live shows, hosting, or simply the What Else Is Going On podcast. We have Taria Faison. And then quite like Tony Braxton, Aaron is always late. So when he gets here, child, we'll let him on in the room. Hello. Thank you guys
Hey,
for
hey.
being here.
Hi, beautiful people. I love seeing this beautiful melanin in this recording right now.
Well,
No,
girl, you
it's
do, but
given.
Bravo don't.
Say it
Can't
again.
do it. First of all, I missed the burgundy memo because I do have a burgundy robe. Y'all could have sent me a text message. That's fine. We'll fight later.
Did it come from Target?
It did, and actually, one of the chatterboxes got it
Mm.
for me, and it is
That's nice.
Aaron's always
Hey,
late.
Elle. Hey, Zach. Hey, friends.
Hey,
Can you guys
How
hear me
are you,
okay?
Aaron? Yeah,
We
we
hear
can hear
you
you
well, and
good.
you look great, and you're green.
Thank
It's
you. I'm
given.
doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. Aaron, you see that Taria and Zach had the phone call about the burgundy and left us out of it. So,
Definitely. But it's okay. Green for the summer.
green
yeah.
for the summer. Guys, I want to start off with the biggest elephant in the room, and it is at this point the obvious feeling that Bravo just doesn't appreciate us past the fact that we run up numbers. They appreciate our dollar, they appreciate our actual viewership, but I don't know if they appreciate us, the content creators, us, the content creators on the show, or the viewers. I know for me, when I started in this Bravo space, I would always say, like, listen, you can't boycott them all. When Zach and I were podcasting together, we always had the running joke of I supported Chick-fil-A, but I don't go to Starbucks. So my point of view was that it's America, it's racist, child. You got to pick a
I don't
lane.
eat either one. I don't eat either one.
If you know Zach and his rants about Chick-fil-A, please. But I always said, as it pertains to Bravo, I see the issues. I just choose to watch these shows and watch people cry over their diamond shoes being too tight. But I do feel like we have entered into a world where we've got a problem. Zach, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
Look, it's a really big problem, and it's been there from the beginning. And I want to just take a moment, and I want your viewers who are, I know, really diehard reality TV fans. Many of them probably watching like I've watched from the beginning. You think about how on the original OC, which I've never watched, but I know y'all have, and you think
Don't do
about the
them girls.
original New York cast, right? There was no diversity on those casts. But then when they created Atlanta, they had to have a white cast member for diversity purposes. They didn't think about diversity in the way that we think about diversity. That was how they positioned. That's why Kim Zolciak got there. And they platformed Kim Zolciak. One of her iconic statements from the first season was about how she doesn't see color. And that was what she repeated multiple times in the space of all these Black women. That's before the majority of America realized what microaggressions were or had the term, that we knew what they were, but we didn't have the terminology that we now have. So Bravo has been doing this and playing in our face for a long time. for a long time. And so now here we are, decades later. And what they've done is, to me, even more egregious, because the Bravo brand has been built on the backs of the three creators right here on this panel that I'm sharing it with. People like the three of you who do commentary, who are committed to this work, who love reality TV, who share insightful commentary, give great insights on all platforms. You people do this on TikTok, you do this on YouTube, you do this on X, you do this on Instagram, and you're building up a new fan base for them around every single show that they get. You built the audience for Summer House Martha's Vineyard. And what do they do in return? They parade white, gay men in front of you for the people that they go to for their Bravo liberties. It is an ongoing problem. And right now, we are the people, their core audience, and we need to put an end to it.
Baby, I don't know if they have any edges left, but Taria,
Right.
if you could find some
And
snacks.
and again, you brought up Chick-fil-A, you brought up Starbucks, in the same way that we have boycotted Starbucks, and the same way that we have boycotted Chick-fil-A, because they have not done right by the Black community. It's time to bring Bravo to the carpet and call them to task what they failed to do. And I'm not saying necessarily boycott Bravo, but I'm saying that should be on the table if they don't find a way to make amends for how they have slighted the community that put them on the map.
I 100% agree with everything that you said. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to go back to your point about Elle made a point when she first started about watching Bravo. I have always said Black Bravo viewers, we're not surprised when we see who these housewives vote for. We're not surprised when we see left-leaning. What we did is we did with Bravo what we did in our corporate offices when you're working with white people. Oh, I know who you are, but I'm just going to see around it. I'm just going to watch around it. So in our Black minds, Black folks watching Bravo knew who the Ramonas were, knew who the Sonias were, knew who these white women were, knew who the OC women were. And that's why we were able to watch the show, because as Black Americans always have to do, we compartmentalize when we watch the show. Flash forward to 2021. And if you notice, the reason that we have diversity on cast now, them dropping a Garcelle Bouvet or Ebony K. Williams, is because it was the white viewers that were appalled with George Floyd. It wasn't us, because we've always been watching TV this way if we've been saying the same things for years. It was the white voices that made Bravo a movement, not a moment, come about. It wasn't us, because we've been saying this for years. Now we are far along removed from 2021, and now they're going back to what they used to do. I was never a fan of them dropping one Black person in a cast full of white people. I've been that one too many times in my personal life, right? And then we get the comparisons. Look how Ebony handled her cast versus Garcelle. Black people aren't a monolith, and they had two different casts. So I feel like we're at a point now where, like you said, not necessarily a boycott, but they do need to be called to the carpet. And it's not just by the content creators. I understand that these Bravo Lebs want their jobs, so we're going to need some Black Bravo Lebs to speak up. Start going to more Black media outlets. Notice the white Bravo Lebs will come running to our podcast, will come running to our YouTubes. Very rarely do you see the Black Bravo Lebs on a lot of our platforms if they don't feel your name is big enough. So it needs to come from both ends, the creators and the people that are a part of the network that look like us.
Listen, I'm with you when you write, because whoa, Aaron. I mean,
y'all can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
What are we asking Bravo to do specifically?
I'm gonna tell you right now what I'm asking Bravo to do. I'm asking this is why I think that it's pivotal that Aaron be a part of this conversation. I have watched every episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac from this last season. And Aaron is in almost every freaking episode, where the one interview that he did with Candace Dillard-Brissett keeps being replayed, was consistently used and weaponized against her in her arguments over and over and over and over and over again, episode after episode after episode. Despite the fact that Bravo continuously used his intellectual property, what was the compensation given to Aaron? What did they provide to Aaron? Did Aaron get to go to Bravo free? Was he one of those people set up on the red carpet to interview celebrities? Was he paraded around all over social media by the platform and given a bigger reach, even though he had given them more clips than any other blogger in the game? Absolutely not. I didn't see Aaron get any of those opportunities. I saw them all go to white gay men. That's who got the opportunities. That's what I saw when I looked at the social media. They were sharing all across social media anytime there's a Bravo event. I want them to recognize and give credit to the Black bloggers, vloggers, and commentators in the space. I want them to make space for them, and I want them to publicly create some kind of a creator fund to incentivize and compensate the creators who do what the three of you do. That's what I want.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I did not get tickets to BravoCon. I
Which
did
is
not.
absolutely insane, in my opinion.
And can I just
Insane.
say, there weren't
Yeah.
many of us there. I'm sorry, as I was there with a couple other people. There were about, you could look and see that there were hardly any of us. And when me, Brooke, Ashley, Kempire, when we walked into those VIP rooms, we were looked at like,
What are you doing here?
Who are they?
And listen,
yeah.
I'll go ahead and name
And
names.
how
Sorry
can
to
that
cut,
be?
sorry to cut you
How
off,
can that
Aaron.
be that the three
You
of
good.
you? I mean, you guys are huge. You have massive platforms. Like, you know what I'm saying? That to me is absolutely an egregious fault of the network that you guys aren't. That it's not. Now there should be a whole entire dedicated page on their website about what our Black creators are doing for them and their platforms, and how. And there should be no Bravo Liberty who doesn't know who you are. Kempire, Brooke, Ashley. Your platforms are too big for that.
Aaron, right.
Aaron, so
They're
did you
known.
feel like what were the feelings when there was no phone call of like, hey, would you like to come out to BravoCon? Did you feel like you got something out of your moment or them using you? Because that's what
I
it was.
mean, I feel like it definitely was giving exposure, which that's what the exchange is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like they definitely can appreciate Black content creators a lot more. Um, I mean, like Zach said, they plaster the white gays all over their social medias. I mean, that's who they hired to do the social media marketing, the Instagram
Yes.
lives, the interviews.
Yes.
And they each show on Bravo is assigned a publicist, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm sure they have a list. These are the people that you can go to and talk to, and these are the people that you can't. One time I had an interview with a cast member from one of the girls over at Portia's Family Matters, and the publicist, she ain't like me. She did not like me. I don't know what I did to her. I don't know what I did, but she wasn't feeling it. And it ended up being a situation where there was a lapse in communication. And she ended up emailing me and telling me that, hey, if you don't do this, X, Y, and Z, then I can make sure you never get an interview with a Bravo celebrity ever again. So I was like, okay. Like, it was really, really, really weird. So I don't know what they have going
But
on.
it's their Bravo world.
And on top of that, because I've been on the shows, right? My clip was used in Atlanta and Potomac. After they used my clip, applied to have access to the screeners. So they have a portal. I don't know if you guys know this, but they have like a portal, a database where the press has access to like screeners, which is like early episodes and like all of their promotional materials, like the photos and the press releases and stuff like that. I was denied that. So I definitely feel like Bravo can show more love to the people that promote their content. Really.
Aaron, hold up. You were denied access
I
to the
was denied
Bravo
access.
portal
Yeah.
that is there for content creators. So you, although they've used your content, although they haven't compensated you for the content, they've used your content and they won't give you access to the portal to make content.
Their content.
Basically. But
Absolutely
people with
ridiculous.
faceless blogs on Instagram, they have access to it. I don't know who runs those
they
blogs.
get
Queens of Bravo and all of those girls.
Come on,
they have access,
come
but
on
I
and
don't got
say
no
it.
access. So it's I don't know if it's a color thing, but
it feels like a color thing. You can't have situations where Bravo just launched this watch party live in LA and in New York. And again, you can look at all of the footage and see the lack of diversity in the room. The earlier question asked was, what am I looking for from Bravo? I'm looking for Bravo to get real. Like, honestly, at this point, Andy is having conversations with Black women that he has absolutely no business having that conversation with, just simply because he can't. You know what I mean? No more than I can command a conversation about Jewish issues in an all male Jewish space. I don't know about that. I'm out of my depth. He's out of his. I need Bravo to recognize when those things happen. And I need there to be a layer of protection around Black castmates for there to even be possible conversations about Kim Zolciak coming back to Atlanta, and or Bravo for that matter, after her racist and manic exit of Real Housewives of Atlanta is sick. That's sick to me. And you're introducing her to an all Black cast. There's no protection there. So I'm looking for protection. I'm looking for background checks. How did you not know that Jenny Wynn had these public feelings? Why did it take us to get to a point where we had to petition for you to say, hey, this is an issue?
Mm-hmm.
We represent a huge part of their viewership. And it's just like, oh, okay. Speaking of viewership, so the reason that we're all here is that Bravo went ahead and put Summer House Martha's Vineyard on pause. One of the things that I thought was extremely interesting to me were their, if I could find the freaking thing, were their ratings, right? So Summer House came in with a season average of 283,000. Gone are the days of the 1.2 million views. They're not hitting, no franchise is hitting that, right? But what I want to say is we're in the middle of Real Housewives of New York or New Jersey season, okay? And last Sunday's episode, ratings came out, they didn't touch 600. So if your best girls, these are the girls. You didn't fire Teresa, you didn't fire Melissa. If your best girls are only bringing in 600 and Summer House Martha's Vineyard is right on their ass, we can have a conversation about low ratings and how Bravo shows are pulling in what some average content creators are pulling in, but that's a different conversation between failing in ratings when there's only a 50% drop in ratings from Jersey to Summer House. And mind you, some of the white viewers were intentionally turning off Martha's Vineyard and then turning back on the television for, yes, baby. They hate us.
How do we know this?
They talk about it. They talk about it on Twitter. Yeah, they don't mind telling you. We're not watching them. Yeah.
They turn it off. Jersey goes off, they turn off Summer House, and then they turn it back on for Watch What Happens Live so that the ratings can really reflect.
But those people have access to the content creators portal. They have access.
Yes, because go ahead. I'm gonna put this up.
I was gonna say, to me, there's like a few factors. One factor is the ratings. I feel like if you look at the ratings alone, Summer House Martha's Vineyard is definitely on the lower end. But of course, that's not the only factor that keeps a show on the air. You also have the fact that, you have to take into account the budget. Right. If the budget is low enough, right. If you're not, they're not paying Preston and Summer and Jasmine what they're paying the girls over there in Atlanta Housewives. So the budget is kept down low, right? They're not taking trips. They're in one house for 2 weeks. They're not filming for 3
driving
months.
Themselves.
For driving themselves. So I'm pretty sure that the budget is really low. So that's another factor. And then another factor is, I think you brought up the George Floyd situation. I think somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. There was, remember when Candy went to the network behind all the other girls' back to ask for equity and diverse opportunities? If not for anything else, they should have kept Summer House Martha's Vineyard on the air because of that commitment that they made back in 2020.
Come on. She did that. And what's interesting is they had no Black they had no Black production companies on the list. There is a Black woman who used to work on Jersey, she used to work on the Jersey show in production, now has her own production company named Dorothy. She had to fight to be able to be on that list. So like Aaron said, if for no other reason, we sat around, we had these conversations that were going to be on IG Live, remember? Until people were like, well, now, wait a minute, you have a whole network. We can't have these conversations on your Bravo network and on your IG Live.
Yes.
It is astounding to me that they don't see. Actually, let me take that back. I think they do see it, but I think that they think we are Bravo. we have these Housewives franchise, and let's be clear, y'all are not going to stop watching. So we can do whatever we want to do.
True. And then I've got this up here in the ratings. Comments like this, Crybaby says, everyone was just so unlikable, right? We've got, I don't care what the numbers say, they brought it every week, which is great. Thank you. But hot take, the cast members ruined the show. So when Bravo goes in and they're looking at comments, of course, the negativity stands out in any space way more than the positivity. So we're looking at person after person after person saying, oh my gosh, she's so unlikable. Oh, she reminds me of Candace's first season. And this is why. And oh, the rat tat tat. Because again, we're also in a space where Black people aren't allowed to just exist. We
and
just can't.
Themselves.
And be excellent. That's not what they allow. That's not what they want to show. And unfortunately, too many of the viewers, that's not what they want to see. Now, I'm going to go on record and say I'm not here to say Bravo House, Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. I'm not even calling it. Look, I call it Black Summer House. I ain't here to say.
I call it Martha's House.
Yeah, I ain't here to say Black Summer House in its current iteration. I'm not. Personally, I think that I think this cast has run its course. And it's okay to recast something like a Summer House and keep that in a consistent rotation of new people coming in that tell new stories. As Aaron said earlier, this is a low budget show. And it's meant to be a low budget show. It's shot over 15 days. Like it's a vacation. They're filming a live vacation. So I don't have a problem with them kind of making it and doing something different with this. To me, the big issue in the Black Bravo reckoning is that they need to take accountability to do specific types of programming to nurture the Black audience that has built their brand. That is, to me, the big issue. And I agree with some of the comments that were shown. The show was not, and it might be because it's only 15 days. It lacked a whole lot that I would want to see from a Bravo show.
Well, that was my next question, Aaron. I'm gonna start with you
because Aaron loved the show. Aaron is a fan. Look, Aaron is here to say.
So am I. I'm a fan. I love it.
Aaron is ready to save the Black Summer House. I'm here to say the Blacks, and he's here to say the Black Summer House.
Okay, so overall, what are your thoughts of the season, Aaron?
I loved it. So much better than the first season. Because I feel like they had a chance to get acclimated to the cameras and, everyone kind of already knew each other. So I felt like the second season was just like, they just hit the ground running. I like the fact that the premise of the show is them having fun. I like the fact that they're all attractive. I like the fact that we get like little history lessons on the HBCUs and the frats and all of those things. And, like just the little quirky stuff, like the fights between, what's his name, Simon and Bria, and looking at Preston's ass crack and all of that, right? What's the dog name? Milo going missing. Like, I like all the little quirky, funny things like that. If I had to critique the show, there's a lot to critique. I love the show, but there definitely is a lot to critique. First, per Zach, because I never really watched, I maybe watched 1 or 2 episodes of the regular Summer House. As soon as them lights went off, everybody went to hunch him. So what Zach told me a while ago is that the premise of the show is like, to hook up. A bunch of single people hooking up, acting crazy, going wild. And I feel like the fatal flaw of this season was nobody was single. No man was single except for Alex. So that was a big problem. And it created this weird dynamic where, I think the first season, Shanice had a thing for Alex. Then Summer had a thing for Alex. Alex was inside of her. And then you had Noelle crying over Alex when Alex didn't even give her the time of day. So that part was annoying. I also feel like I liked Natalie, you guys.
All right, bye, Aaron. Thank you.
I wanted to see more Natalie. I think the show, okay, I think I say that because I think the thing that irritates me the most about the cast is that they're way too considerate of each other's feelings. And I feel like we're trying to create a TV show. And I feel like a lot of the times they just want to save face. They want to save each other's feelings. They don't want to bring this up. They don't want to bring that up. And what I did like about Natalie's energy, she was like, oh, y'all spilling tea? Well, we're on camera. Let's make a scene. Let me go carry the bone. And I feel like a lot of the times, you know, they're just trying to be besties, and that's cute. But sometimes you got to get out of your feelings and get into your bag and create a TV show. And I feel like we need more characters like a Phil, like a Natalie, people who aren't afraid to kind of like poke the bear. That's all.
To back up Aaron, like I don't like Natalie. Let's make no mistake, right? Like she
I don't
to
either.
me
I don't
isn't
either.
a
No,
likable
that's your best friend,
person.
Aaron. You already you
I,
claimed her.
But
You
I think she's
but
great. She's
for the
unlikable, but
show,
I thought she was great for the show.
I think that she was good for the show and it was a missed opportunity from Bravo. Because there are black men and black women in interracial relationships, and I think that you need to have that dynamic when you're showcasing something like the black excellence of Bravo Summer House of Black Summer House, and bring in some of those conversations, have some of those difficult conversations that are that's happening on social media that would be valid to this conversation with these intellectuals in Black Summer House. There's a whole lot with Amir that we haven't explored, and I don't want to see it explored
I
either.
was
Now,
about to
don't
say I
again.
don't
I
want
want
it
the show.
explored.
I want a whole new cast. But the fact, his biracial identity and how he sees himself, even his own personal insecurities, these things come across on the screen, but no one's willing to, like Aaron said, go in there and explore it. His choice of Natalie, his dating history, like what type of women have you typically dated? Have you only dated white women? Is that a preference? Is that all
Yes.
you're attracted to? All of those things, right? If you have the right people in this cast, they're going to go for it. They're going to talk about it.
Bring it
And the
up.
same thing goes for Bria in terms of like why you chose this man. Is this a sugar daddy? Like, is this a history
Yeah.
for you? Is this what you've always wanted? There's so many things, like Aaron said, that should have been brought up and explored in 2 years and 2 seasons that we never got because they are friends in real life, maybe because they care about each other in real life. They're not willing to bring it out, or maybe because the show is too short. Again, I have an idea that I'll share later in the show, in your show, of how they could really make this great in the season 3 with a new cast or even the same cast. I thought about it. So
They did need some of that Marlo energy. They did need to be like, are you a lesbian? Like, let's just get down to the get down.
Mm,
You don't
I,
think so?
we watch some of these other shows, right? And people complain, or some of these white shows, and they get to just be themselves. It's not always about the drama. If they don't have drama, people are still watching. I understand that we're creating a show and want drama, but I also don't want to feel like these black folks have to tap dance and dance Negro dance to make this show so that we will watch it. And we as black viewers have to make up our minds what we want, because we say we don't want a Zeus, but then we want a little bit of Zeus tied into the Bravo so we can make a show. I'm okay with them coming in being their authentic selves. And then if that is not enough, then maybe shift them out. But I'm okay with them just going to Martha's Vineyard and just being black folks sitting around arguing over stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to?
but who gonna watch that? Like, and I'm just saying, right? So
I would. I say that,
friends,
but
I think about my friends, right? Like honestly, when my friends get together and we go on like a friends trip, we go to the mountains or we go to the beach or it's a whole lot of eating, a whole lot of drinking, and a whole lot of sleeping. And that's what it is. I don't know if that makes for good TV.
well, and that's why I said I would be okay with shifting stuff out. I like Aaron said, the history, the conversations, but I just feel like sometimes we as the viewers are the issue because we're putting mandates on we're only going to watch you if you do this, which requires them to sometimes amp it up, and then we say they're just amping it up for TV. So which is it? You understand what I'm saying? With me, I personally didn't want Natalie on the show because I'm being very honest, I wanted to keep Summer House black. But if she is going to come and we want to have those conversations about interracial dating, Amir treated this Summer House like it was his black social experiment that he really didn't want to be a part of, but I'm going to use it to be on the show. So we can't have authentic conversations with him. That's how I felt. And maybe I feel a type of way because, yes, he did have tweets that were older. However, my thing is everyone deserves grace, but he didn't address it. So you have these tweets about being afraid of black women. Now you're in a house full of black women. And when it comes out, you deactivate your Twitter and don't address the black women that watch you. We just move along like as if it didn't happen. I would have liked that conversation.
Same.
Explored.
Why
Here's
did they
a
not bring
question.
that
How
up?
did Amir get in the house? I forgot Amir's connection. Who brought Amir to this house?
I have no clue.
Aren't they all through Jasmine?
Well,
I
Jasmine
really,
is the whatever, the anchor of this show. But
Yeah.
I remember other people, right? I remember the other girls who were, worked with her in the Playboy
Hmm.
mhm.
mansion restaurant situation, and then Silas and his friends. But I don't.
Hmm.
Amir may be a Bravo plant. Like Amir may be
That's
like
what.
some, and they picked this cutie up and said, "Let's put you on here,"
But
and that's
that's my thing though. Like to the point of Taria mixing the Zeus. I'm not looking for the Zeus, but I'm looking to eliminate the elephants in the room,
Now,
right?
yes, I
Because
agree with that.
that's what I would do with my friend group. If
yeah.
Bria was my friend, I would be like, babes, you know what I'm saying? He out here giving out watches and stuff. This year, you know what I'm saying? You've been in the clubs in France and in Spain, and you bringing Milo in, and is that because it's not all off the Playboy money. I want to ask them questions. I want to,
Yeah.
like you said, with Amir. Amir, you came in season 1 and you were so excited to get in touch with your black side and have this experience. And after being in a house full of black women, you left and you decided not to date a black woman, which is totally your preference, right? You didn't have to do that, but let's have the conversation about what you learned from these black women, and was it a I just don't want this, or this isn't my preference, or was Natalie just a right place right time? Also, Natalie came in and said, does she make what you make in a year in 1 month? So again, back to the Bria of it all, is this your sugar mama and is you sitting on her lap? Like, I got
Yeah.
questions
And
that weren't addressed on the show or in the reunion.
so many
even with
questions.
Bria, how do you date a man? How do you look in the audience's face, a black man, I mean, a black audience's face, and have a conversation about you know that he doesn't understand anything you're trying to say about people that look like you, but you can still see yourself with this man and having children with him. You have told us he doesn't understand anything about me and about the black race. He doesn't get it. So my question will be, do you think that's going to change? What would that look like if you bring children into this situation? But like you said,
All
they're
stuff
not
that
having
we
those
could have had
conversations.
at dinner when we was all like, oh my God, Jasmine, show me how you suck in your pregnant stomach.
I wonder, did they have some of these conversations and some were cut out? I will say, I know someone that knows someone on the cast. So I know that some things were cut out, but I wonder if it was getting too black. Maybe,
I
maybe
def-
not. And that's just a thought,
I
you know.
definitely believe it was getting too black. I want to say this in terms of fixing the show. I don't necessarily feel like we need to scrap the whole cast, but we do need to go in and sharpie some people
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
Um, Amir
Like
and
who?
Natalie, I don't want them to come back at all. Shanice, let her go find a job. Let her go find some healing. She could go do that real bad. Um, Summer, we can maybe keep as like a friend of. She's the one that comes in on the second week. And I think it, and Bria can come in on the second week as well, unless that guy is going to come with her. And we're gonna have some conversation
Mm.
with them as a couple, right? Now, the rest of them I say keep, and I say that because I feel like Alex and the other one,
Nick.
they yes, thank you. They represent an older age demographic. So while I don't like that, I need Alex to also leave his girlfriend because he don't really like
Oh,
her.
they're
And
done.
oh, praise God for Jesus.
Yeah.
And let's not and what I don't want to see no more is no more parties of people twerking and we just sitting here like I don't go. Okay. I don't need y'all hunching when the lights go off, but let's not do too much. And Jordan is a floater for me. I don't necessarily like some of the hostility that Jordan has in her chest when she talks to these men that don't exist when she's talking to women. And again, that's not in a stay in a woman's place type of way. It's in a this smoke don't exist with nobody else other than when you be speaking to these men. You so quick to tell this man how he got you fucked up and saying it with your chest and all this. And it's like, but when these girls had you fucked up, you went to Preston and you started crying in the kitchen because Summer said that she held you while you was crying. Now, why Summer ain't have you fucked up? I
The
don't
same
like that.
reason
I,
she
the,
was
the the
totally alone in
reunion
her
to
house.
me showed that I think this cast can't really Like I just can't see more story. Like the story has been told.
Mm.
There's things that we need to dig into and get, but we can get those from interviews. We need to get these cast people, get them on y'all shows, y'all ask these questions. But for putting it on TV, it's just going to drag out more of the same. That's why I'm like, let them go. Bring in a whole new cast of people that you've carefully selected that are interconnected. And listen, these people are now part of like pop culture, right? They're Bravo celebrities. It's not like we're gonna lose touch with them. Whatever they have to show us, child, they can show us on Instagram. Whatever we need to see, we can look. That's the new
No, they
Martha's
can't,
Vineyard.
because then that's how
That's the
you
new
make them
Black
into
House.
Ashley Darby.
No,
And
I'm just saying.
I
I'm just
can't.
saying we could keep up with them that way, and maybe there's other things that they can possibly do in this world. But to me, Black Summer House needs to be all the highlighted things that you guys said. Those deep conversations about Black culture that may not be happening, but we want to also see them have some fun. Bring in some single men, bring in some single women, and bring in a diverse collection and let them go at it. This cast, it just didn't fit. The women were single, the men were booed up. It just didn't make it. The choices didn't make sense. I know that their premise was we want these people to be connected, and so that made sense. But when they all came together, it was just like it didn't gel. There was a lack of chemistry and a lack of connection. Now, how do you fix that? Instead of filming the show over 2 weeks and 15 days and calling it a day, Bravo needs to invest in Martha's House or Black Summer House, and they need to give us 2 weeks in one location where they
Mhm.
meet and they engage, they get together, they go home for 6 weeks where they can communicate or not, like how they had the Jamaican trip and all that, and they come back and film for 2 more weeks in a different location or maybe back to the Vineyard, and that gives you 4 weeks of content to pull from, and that will give us, I think, a good show.
I love the cast. I love
Me
the
too.
cast.
I, like I said, I could do without Amir, but I'm with Aaron. I love that.
I even like Amir, even though Amir does show signs of him being problematic. I feel like that's okay in a way. I don't mind him and his girlfriend. I don't like her, and I need to clarify that I do not like her. But I thought she was interesting for the show, so I'm not even mad at them. I could say if anyone had to go, I would say Jordan. I feel like her storyline wasn't really compelling. I mean, the alopecia, situation was, okay.
I
But
couldn't take the crying over becoming a wig influencer. And again, I'm not here to tell you how to process your grief. But girl, if you don't go watch some Kane TikToks, put that wig on your head and get your check,
I
get
mean,
off that
she
floor.
didn't talk about really anything else. Shanice can go. She's a fun time, but again, it's like no, nothing there.
And she don't
I
have no
would
more
say
titties to
Nick can
show us.
go,
We've
but
seen
now
it.
he's single,
Yeah.
so I
Ain't
don't
nobody
know.
gonna still want Nick. It doesn't. Even though Nick
Oh,
is single, Nick is still not going to be
okay. Let's
the
talk about that.
level of testosterone. No, just
I
keep it
don't
real. Like
know.
Why?
seriously,
I think Nick is
At the
so.
Freaknik.
First off, he is the best dressed person, male or female, on this show. Hands down, best dressed,
I agree.
prim and proper, always put together. So Ralph
Yes.
Lauren, just beautiful, nicely shaven, always clean cut, cute little nerdy glasses. Honey, like he's a panty dropper. Like I don't understand why people clown on him. He's cute.
Black women don't want that. And the fact that I think you just said that freak Nick is when he came in tatted up, it made him more attractive. It gave him sex appeal. Is the prime reason why
To
he
the women in
doesn't
the house. Yeah.
belong on this show. He isn't bringing the level of sex
Ugh.
appeal that black women want to see on TV.
But he's
It's
giving
fine to
Martha's
have
Vineyard.
it's fine to
And
have,
Yeah.
I was
but
going
Yes.
to
if
say that.
he's giving
Yes.
you, I'm not, and that's fine. But what I'm saying in terms of like making the show a show that is gonna get ratings, that's gonna sustain and be watchable, I don't see a place for Nick on the show, even though he's single. Again, my argument is nobody's gonna want to sleep with him on this show. He ain't dropping no
On the
panties.
show, no. But also the show is made up of suburban women. Let's just call a thing a thing. Jordan done told you she done grew up horseback riding. Bria done every extra credit sport under the sun. So has Shanice. Like these are suburban women. And one thing that I know about suburban girls is we don't want our suburban neighbors. Okay. We
Well,
We
it's
want the
surprising
hood.
because Bria didn't grow up like that. Bria was used to, she ended up going to a school with majority white folks in a better neighborhood and didn't want her mom to drop her off at the school because of their car and all that kind of stuff, which surprises me that she even acts the way that she does.
But it's the
In a way.
proximity too.
Yes.
And Steve, that needs to be brought on the show. Those are the
Yeah.
moments that we miss. Those are the conversations that are real. Many
Jasmine, why
Black
is your mama
kids who
convicted
overcome
felon?
poverty have the same story, and they have the same experiences, and they have the same
Right.
feelings. That needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
Nick is a cutie. I think he's a cutie, and I think that we don't get a lot of shows wherein we are offered some version of a healed man. I'm not presenting to you that Nick and Alex represent healed Black men, but I am saying that they aren't Blueface. They aren't Dennis. You know, they aren't Simon. You
Ralph
have men
Pittman.
who,
Come on.
hello, that we have men who are sitting here. And Nick was trying his best. Like, even though he was looking, he was still trying his best to be respectful. You know what I mean? Ralph, they and the husbands from Married to Medicine, they would be, oh, what happens outside? We don't get to see that. So there is a piece of the healedness that Nick and Alex offer that
Touche.
makes them even more attractive.
And to me,
Now,
that
I don't add the more
Shanice doesn't
attractive, but I'll give
display.
you a point.
Well,
You said now you dragged it with more.
as far as Nick is the type of person that when you initially meet them, you may not be attracted. But for me, the more you got to know him, I think that would change. I see that happening with viewers. So I do think Nick is somebody who eventually you may become interested in. But you talking about the healed man and with Shanice, I want to explore why you feel like it's necessary to take your clothes off when the men come, because some of those scenes, especially last season, you were not naked until all the men came. Then you got naked, hence why Bria had her meltdown. So for me, I want to talk about why y'all feel it's okay to have this conversation around Nick and expect Nick not to be, I'm looking at your behind. I'm looking at your breast because you're naked. So let's have this. So why do you feel like we're having a dinner, like at the end of last season, they're having that dinner outside and you come on the balcony and flash your breast when that wasn't even the vibe? But then Amir wants to talk about Nick and I just see his eyes wandering. Now, Amir is the type that people may think is attractive. I'm going to speak for me. Well, I didn't really think he was, but I'm just saying a lot of people thought he was attractive.
Like media-esque attractive.
Yes. And then when he started talking, I was like, ugh. You see what I'm, whereas it's opposite with me for Nick.
I don't know when Nick see, I'm a gestures girl. So little stuff will get you like inched up on the attractiveness scale. So when I think it was Summer, don't slap her head at me. I'm bearing my soul. When Summer started crying at the reunion and this man Nick jumped out of his skin. If you go watch it, he was the first person to budge to try to get her a thing. And he went for his handkerchief. His first thought was, let me give her the handkerchief. And then you see him like, wait, maybe not the handkerchief. And he goes in his pocket.
Right.
But it was,
where the tissue at?
It was the speed in which that he was moving at. And again, simple gestures like that don't make you a man, don't make you a healed man. But we've seen enough of Nick to know, and piece by piece by piece by piece, oh my God, this is who he is. And all of those things together, I do think make him attractive. I want to ask y'all this, in a world again where we're pausing Summer House, but this is your lineup for season 9 of Real Housewives of Potomac. Giselle is returning, Karen is returning, Ashley is returning, Mia's returning, Wendy is returning. We've got 2 newbies, and then we've got Kiarna and Jacqueline as friends of. I don't know how Summer House can be boring. But all of those housewives that I just mentioned on Potomac can return. Aaron, what do you think about season 9 of Potomac? Are you looking forward to it? Are you watching it? Do you care? Where do you stand?
I'm always looking forward to Potomac. I feel like last season was such a snore for the first time in seasons. I feel like Potomac, season by season, was overtaking Atlanta. Good season after good season, even with all the like the colorism accusations and the things that would just piss me off. What I liked about Potomac is the fact that it gave us good topics, especially for us bloggers. It gave us stuff to debate over, which is good for ratings and views and clicks. So because last season was kind of lackluster, I am looking forward to it because we can only go up from here, right? So I'm hoping that the new girls will bring some spice, kind of like Atlanta. I'm hoping the new girls will bring some spice, and I'm looking forward to it.
Taria?
I'm optimistic.
Be ye then.
Right. It's a Black Housewives franchise. I like to show support to all Black shows. I really do, because if not, then I can't complain about when they put them on pause, like a Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. But I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. I do want to shout out my former pastor, Jamal Bryan, on his engagement. Congratulations.
Hey, okay, they need to bring that up. Somebody needs to bring
Somebody
Carrie
needs to bring it up. Right. Listen.
Okay.
I also, they need to bring up a lot of stuff. Like, he was my first podcast guest back in 2016 on my other podcast when he talked about trying to handle going from being a storefront pastor to going to the Super Bowl with Diddy. I'm just saying. So there's a lot of stuff that could be brought up with him. But honestly, no, in all seriousness, I'm not really looking forward to it, but I am going to watch. I understand why other people do not want to watch. It's triggering for some people. But it's not going to be on my must see. I'll probably watch it the Monday after, but I am not looking forward. I'm looking forward to there being a Housewives show, and I'm going to watch. I'll put it that way.
Is the triggering aspect Giselle?
She's some of it.
I don't think it's necessarily all Giselle. I think it's from the comments that I've seen, because personally, I'm not triggered by any of it. I'm not triggered when Candace goes low, because when you're in a verbal sparring match, you can't throw a pebble and then be mad when somebody blows your life up. So all bets are off. And they act like they didn't know that. But I think it's not just Giselle. It's the way the other women seem to respond to Giselle when they know that she's for instance, her and Candace, it would be like the other woman would be afraid to say, like, Giselle, now wait a minute, you were wrong. That's how I felt. They would always take the head sister, aka pledge, I'm hazing all of y'all. That's what it felt like. It felt like me watching her on an HBCU campus, and they were all her pro fights. That's what it felt like when I was
such a chokehold on that cast. She has such influence.
Yes,
it's astonishing.
So I think it'd be one thing if it was just her, and if other people attempted to check her, maybe, but they don't. And so then that leaves you as a cast member unprotected, because the network has her back, and even your castmates don't. So I think all of that combined triggers people.
I think the Mia Wendy of it all was extremely triggering to me. I hated watching Mia attack Wendy in that manner, watching none of the castmates take up for her. I remember saying this in a review back then. I would have even been okay if Robin had positioned her reasoning for filming in a different way. She pulled out the phone and was like, "Cause Wendy going to change." Like, this girl is getting beat with a wristlet. Like, what are you talking about? If she would have just been like, "Now this isn't cool, and I don't want to wait until we roll the tapes back at production. I want this to be seen now, because this is not okay." It wasn't done in that manner, and there was just no protection. Nobody rallied around Wendy. Nobody said, "Mia, you got to leave the trip." There was no accountability there, and I felt like, while Mia is a Black woman, I feel like that was so indicative of Black women in predominantly white spaces, where you're with this friend group and you think you got another Black sister to the left of you. At least we gonna ride it out, and now something happens and the girl is looking at you like, well, maybe you could have said it nicer.
Yeah.
I hated every moment of that. I back to the question earlier, like, what do we want from Bravo? I want some hard lines. Some stuff is just too far, too low, too nasty. And
it needs to be across the board with all of them, not just the Black franchises. It needs to be across a hard line across all of them, and
every single one.
Yeah.
I don't think though I'll be watching Potomac this season, if I'm being completely honest.
I'm not watching an episode. Not
I
one.
think
I will be watching you guys. I'll be tuning into YouTube. I'll be watching your commentary. I'll be following along on social media. But I'm not giving them any of my viewership. It's not going to happen for this season. I'm just not going to do it. The fact that
Why?
they would reward Giselle Bryant and this cast for their bad behavior, I'm not. I'm not doing it. So the same way that Leah brought up my boycott of Chick-fil-A and Starbucks that has lasted for time immortal, this too show is being added to that list of things that I'm not going to be able to support.
I'm not. Giselle should have been done after we saw on camera that Chris didn't do the things that was alleged.
I
And
do
all
agree.
of this again, hard lines. This
Or at
is
least held
not.
accountable. If she would have just even been held accountable by Bravo, if Bravo would have let the cast, I mean, there was no accountability there, and they so structured and they so produced it in a way to attempt to trick us and to exonerate her. It was nasty work that I can't support.
And she went to HR more than once on Candace. Because in the reunion, when she said, I thought she would be talked to. And let's not forget, on the girls' trip, when she thought Candace stole that bottle, what did she do? Tell production, you need to go search her room.
Yes,
so
she
I
did.
see both sides. I understand why people are saying, absolutely not. I'm done. And I also see why people are like me, are like, I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. I'm going to watch. And I see people like Aaron's side. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what they bring. So I definitely see all sides of it. I do think it will make for some interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make for some interesting conversation. I think for me being out is less about like, oh, Potomac should have done something. And truly, it's more about I'm not finding enjoyment in these shows. All of these housewife shows used to be primetime TV. I couldn't wait to get into bed, eat my Cheetos, drink my rosé, and rub my feet together. I don't want to do that to none of these shows. Not a New York, not a Salt Lake City, not a Orange County, not a New Jersey. None of them. I'm bored, and I feel like they keep missing the opportunity for relatability, right? Melissa and Teresa don't want to film together. Nah, you're in production. This is a job. You can't go to work and say, I'm not working with Aaron and that's your coworker. Y'all got a project to do. You need to work together. And then they should have been grown up enough to want to get the bag together where it's like, listen, even if we're not going to get along, we're going to film us trying to get along, because there are so many people out there with in-law issues that could relate to the Melissa side of it, to the Teresa side of it, to the Joe side of it. There's so much money there. There's so much like merch and all of that there. And everybody is just so caught up. All of these housewives are so caught up with being the top housewife and getting the first seat next to Andy and how much money do you make and how big is your bag, that like it was just not fun.
The show, I think the fundamental issue with Housewives specifically is that I think the show and being casted onto the show has superseded like their actual real lives, to where they're focused on how can I be a great housewife and how can I be perceived a certain way, than, being focused on what's actually going on in life. The show has become bigger than what's on the show. I think that's it's hard to get over that. So I think that's the decline of Housewives. Yeah.
But now, to your point, the original conversation that we were having about Bravo and Black cast and the things, look at how different Potomac, and you have a castmate not talking, isolating some castmates, versus Jersey.
That's what I was
see them
thinking.
try to force Candace's hand to make up with Giselle at that reunion, but with Jersey, with penalty. But with Jersey, Andy first says, I don't see how it's sustainable, but then he walked it back. So look at even behind this. Yes, look at even behind the scenes how with Bravo execs, how the Black cast and the white cast are treated differently.
Well, and also in terms of budget, this season of Atlanta, they go to Birmingham. This upcoming season of Potomac, they're going to Charlotte. They're taking road trips. But then you look at the other franchises, every trip is a grand production. Every trip is an event. all of that speaks to how Bravo values their Black audience.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Let's end here. Real Housewives of Dubai is back for its long-awaited second season on June 2nd. Are you excited? Are you looking forward to anything out of it? And will you be keeping an eye on it to see if Bravo promos it with the same veracity that they do their other shows?
I'm going to be keeping an eye on Lisa Milan. I'm just going to be honest. I think she's top tier. And I'm not even talking about her on this show, just looking
I was
at her.
about to say, I love you.
Right.
That girl could get on the screen and read me the phone book. I would be like, oh my God, that is so
Right.
interesting, Lisa Milan.
Right.
She's
I
Me and my
haven't
husband,
seen
we
one
don't do
episode.
thirds. But I'm just saying, no. I'm
But
just
if we
joking.
did,
You would go to town. I have not.
I might go to Dubai.
I have
Uh-oh.
not seen an episode. Well, they say it gets wet in Dubai these days. That's what they say. Like it used to
Okay.
be real
Good
dry.
night, y'all. Thank you so much.
But I haven't seen an
she's about to
episode.
run the Corey.
But what I am going to watch. I'm going to go back to season 1, and I'm going to binge, and then I'm going to watch season 2. Only
okay.
because there's nothing on TV to watch.
Okay.
This is the summer without TV, so I'm like, I might as well. It gives me something to kind of like do while I'm working. Because to me, I have Housewives always on in the background when I'm doing stuff at night. So I'm like, I might as well, because there is literally nothing else on.
Can I please suggest that you at least watch season 1, episode 1 of Ladies of London before you watch season 1 of Dubai, because you have to understand the evolution of Caroline Stanbury. Like it does not make sense if you don't. You might get sucked into Ladies of London, and if you do, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It was a good show.
Oh, it was too good. But you do have to understand the evolution of Caroline Stanbury. What about you, Aaron?
I think Dubai, I'm gonna tune in. I'm optimistic. I want to see the beautiful Lisa Milan. I want to see the funny Chanel Ayan. It's too long though. It took too long. Like at this point, I don't even know any storyline. I forgot any of the storylines that happened, in season 1. So it's just kind of weird.
There wasn't. It was just really
and what's rubbing me the wrong way, and I know I'm jumping the gun because we haven't seen the season. But I don't like how Chanel Ayan was beefing with Caroline. How she, was falling out with Lisa. To me, it gives, and I love Chanel. I want to do an interview with her. But it's giving, you have been waiting and wanting and yearning for this white lady's approval. Mm-hmm. And when you got it, you drop your best friend, your black best friend. I don't like that.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
I feel like there was a pushback of Real Housewives of Dubai. I don't feel like it was supposed to air as late as it did. So I felt like the first time we saw Chanel pop up online was when it was supposed to come out. And now we're back because of the Simon and the Portia of it all. The season is coming out.
And you could it almost feels like not only you waiting for the approval of this white woman, but on this show that you were dying to be a part of. Because now we can tell, like Aaron said, being on the show is getting bigger than their real life. So now it's giving, I'm doing this almost because I'm in this sorority and this is the head girl in the sorority. Yep. And that I felt the same thing, Aaron. I'm so glad you said that. Because I was like, I'm gonna wait, but I feel the same.
Because it's clear, it's funny. I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
Caroline Stanbury does not deserve the Queen Bee role.
Come on.
I think she gets it because of just who she is, privilege. But she literally has done that thing. Chanel Ayan to me and Lisa Milan are kind of the Queen Bees by what they do and what they bring. But Caroline is the Queen Bee just based off of the fact that she's white.
Well, also she's the story tie-in. So like she's the I'm not on Ladies of London anymore. I'm in Dubai. These are my girlfriends. She is the tie-in there. But I do want to see as second season progresses, I want to see somebody take the crown because, all right, we're in Dubai. We know the ladies now. Thank you.
Right. Because it's like she went over there and started running their spot. They were living there.
To go home
came
like
over
Dr.
there.
Contessa went home after she introduced Dr. Brenton to the ladies on Married to Medicine LA. Then you go home.
I want to ask you guys one thing. I know for me, I don't mind a spoiler. I don't care. I don't mind a spoiler. I'm good. A lot of times I like knowing the ending of things, which is something I know personally I have to work on, because sometimes you just got to let things play out, right? But how do you feel about, for instance, Lisa Milan did an interview, and now we already know that throughout the season there's not going to be a resolution because you've done an interview saying we're not in a good space. So how do y'all feel about these housewives now? It seems like, and don't get me wrong, I've interviewed a ton of them, so I love them coming on the show, but I more so like to talk to them about what's going on outside of the show. Let's get to know you on a different level. I'm finding there seems to be an uptick in interviews that are basically telling us the season.
The storyline.
And I
Yeah.
know, bring back gag orders.
I think
Right,
Bravo is
bring back
becoming
gag
more
orders.
okay. I think they're becoming more okay with that, because back in the day, you weren't allowed to say anything. You weren't allowed to
Yes.
confirm whether you were part of the cast and whatever. I think nowadays it's almost inescapable. I don't think Bravo cares as much because there's so many of us bloggers and vloggers and so many people on the ground. Again, like I said, the show has become so big. It's inescapable. And even if they didn't give the interviews, I feel like a lot of the storylines just kind of seep out anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, I
But
think
should it? I think that's the question, right? Like, I feel that having a level of mystery keeps us tuned in and would help ratings. When you're talking about these ratings being low, why would I watch it and push through when we already know what's going to happen? I think
Or
there are
why
too
would I
many
watch
reasons.
everything I just saw
Right.
play out on social media 6 months ago?
That's why I can say I don't have to watch Potomac to know what's happening on
how do
Potomac.
you keep it a
Like, we
secret though?
already know too much about Potomac. Already we know about Giselle being on the outs with the cast. We know about, and it just takes away from the enjoyment of the show. That's my personal
How,
opinion.
You
how do
need
you
to you
prevent
need an
that?
NDA, and you need to put
Yep.
the fear of a little bit of fear of God in them. Okay. Them people over at Shondaland, they don't Olivia Pope was not telling you nothing about that season because she knew that Shonda would fire her. Your
Um,
job needs to be on the line. No, we're not talking about this. Even Giselle just went and did Good Morning
Yep.
Maryland or something on Fox.
Yep.
She was like, I can't confirm or deny if I met any new cast, but if I did meet a new cast, I like them. Girl, what? You just told
Yeah. You
do you
just
know how
told
I
us.
do not confirm or deny works? Like there needs to be some job accountability or security issue in if you talk too much. There are certain topics that we can get into. We can talk about this and this and send all of your soldiers out with their marching orders. Any question that's not on that list,
And
we're
the
gonna have to
planned
tune in.
marketing is what they talk about. Yeah, you talk about those items that are planned and organized and orchestrated, but keep some of the mystery there. Like, even when we got we're getting trailers well before the trailer drops. So the surprise of this person on the cast or the surprise transfer, you already know it. Like, we already know that for
Mhm.
a Real House of Atlanta, they're gonna go to Lake Bailey for the barbecue. Like, why? Why do we have
Do
that? Would
you
have been a
think
huge surprise.
do you think Bravo may be reaping the benefits on both ends? And I think it came about season 5 of Potomac, one of its highest rated seasons. People who had never watched a season heard about a fight because cast members were leaking information to different
Mm.
people. Word gets out there's a fight, and it's one of its highest rated seasons. People that have never ever watched Potomac are tuning in to watch a fight. And even though they didn't necessarily want
Right.
that to be the story of it, but they got ratings off of that. So do you think maybe Bravo is kind of like, to Aaron's credit, maybe they don't care as much because maybe they feel like
it's a
seeping
marketing
information?
strategy.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
double-edged
yes,
sword. Your
yes,
diehard fans are jaded because we know the
yes.
season in advance, but also what creates a pop culture moment is a scene or an instance that goes beyond the show, like a Scandival or the
Mm,
Candace and Monique fight. And sometimes
yes.
you need those, or like Kyle Richards, dating this girl and divorcing Mauricio. Like, you don't have to really watch the show or be a fan to know that, oh, Kyle Richards, from
Yes.
Beverly Hills is divorcing her man. Like, it's a pop culture, it's a real news story, and you don't have to be a
Yeah.
Bravo fan to know that. And I think sometimes they don't care because it brings them those big pop culture moments.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. I think it was Teresa and Joe Judice that crossover into news when their situation happened.
Mm,
Teresa made Hot Topics with Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams wasn't
Mhm.
covering the housewives like that. She
Yeah.
was telling you, oh, it comes on. I don't watch it. Y'all like that. That's what she would say. Once
Yeah.
it became news, and Bravo loves to recreate a
They
moment. Oh, you
love
like
that.
this? Let's do it again and again and again
Right.
and again. Like, so everything is trying to recreate the next scandal.
Remember
moment,
when
the
them
next
people
Anderson moment.
crashed Obama's White House correspondence?
Yeah,
Yes.
DC.
Yes. Yes.
That was
Kayla
I
or something,
literally did
whatever
a
her name
whole
was.
deep dive on that, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this happened, and I forgot, like, there's all types of news clippings, HLN, CNN. I mean, it was so, like, everybody knew about that.
Right.
And then they had to shut it down, because I really think that they ended DC because it was too much political tea being spilt, because reality TV was so new.
Mhm.
We are going to let the people go to sleep. Let's start in order. Zach, Taria, and then Aaron. Tell the people where they can find you, how they can support you, how they can keep up with you.
Everybody, you can follow me right here on YouTube at 3+1 Media and as TPO Media and as Activist, or 3+1 Media as Activist. You can also follow me on TikTok, as Activist, or Instagram, as Activist. The focus of my platform is people, politics, and pop culture. Heavy on the politics, light on the pop culture, but still some good stuff every day.
Taria.
First of all, I just want to thank you again for having me with Zach and Aaron. I am just met Zach. I am a fan. I have been watching Aaron for a while, so I am so glad to be a part of this. Thank you so much. You can find the podcast, What Else Is Going On podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, all those good things. Go check it out. We've got some good housewives interviews, reality TV folks interviews, and then just people coming on just to share their pop culture opinions. Also, I just started a YouTube page back in October. Now I'm really kind of doing the thing. So We Go Podcast on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at We Go Podcast. If you are sensitive, come on over anyway. We can still have a good conversation.
Uh-oh.
And there we go. Oh, and you can find me on Instagram at We Go Podcast. I'm always, if you're going to be mean, make it funny. That's my thing. But I don't necessarily go too low. So we'll have a good time.
Oh, wow.
That's a pitch.
The people can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at House of Aaron, HAUS of Aaron, AARON, like AAR, what they say? What is it?
AARP.
Aaron.
Oh,
Oh,
Aaron. Yeah.
Key and Pill, Aaron. Double
Yeah,
A.
Aaron.
House of Aaron. We talk news, celebrities, and hot
AARP.
topics. Thank you, Elle, for inviting me on. This was fun. Thank you.
Of course, of course. And as always, guys, I'm El Murasaki. You can find me here on YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Just El Murasaki. It costs free $99 to be a good person. So get out there and do that shit.